Welcome to the Ambitious Sloth podcast. I'm Julian, and I interview people from all around the world about their mindsets, ambitions, and meaning in life for you so you can learn from them or just get a different perspective on things you haven't thought of before. My guest today is Brett Gonzenbach. The first point I want to mention is that he's an amazing storyteller, so that my ears were glued to his lips throughout the whole interview. With that being said, he also had a life-changing story to tell, how he went from his Fortune 500 career path to pursue a life of adventure and impact. The path he takes right now is meditation, using plant-based medicine like Ayahuasca, and a deep dive into self-exploration to connect online educators with students eager to learn. All of this just happened because of the life-changing event that showed him he needed to drastically shift. What that was and all the lessons he learned on the way are in this episode. Let's welcome Brett.
Well, thanks for having me on here, Julian. It was definitely good catching up with you last week. We first got connected through a mutual friend of ours who has a really awesome podcast and cool things named Skylar. I think didn't you have a podcast episode with him earlier?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So amazing guy that connected us. So, we got to talking, and we realized that we had a lot in common. We're both into deeper level awareness of the mind, how things work, business, just helping people to improve their lives, really. And so, yeah, we had a great chat on the phone last week, and basically so for me, where I am right now is I am what would be called a digital nomad. I'm someone that works online, travels the world. I am currently in Medellin, Colombia, South America. And this is basically my headquarters, my HQ at this point. I don't really have a home. I am pretty much homeless. Last place that I lived in was Las Vegas. And that was when I was in my former corporate life, which I'll dive into in a little bit to give you a little background, tell you a little bit about my story and who I am. But right now I am here in Medellin. I work online. I do affiliate marketing. I help coaches and consultants to get more of their what's called high ticket clients, meaning that different coaches have programs that charge anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 in price range. Typically, these coaches are really good at what they do in terms of getting results for their clients, but oftentimes they could have no idea how to actually get clients, how to actually do the marketing for that, how to run ads for themselves. And so that's where I come in as an affiliate and help them out to get more of their clients. And so it's a win-win-win situation for everyone involved. That's a little bit about what I do. However, this whole travel in the world and working online and all this stuff that we were talking about specifically last week about deeper level topics like meditation and how I did a 10-day silent meditation earlier this year, something that's really just changed everything for me. And now that I'm here in South America, been diving into the whole world of plant medicine, specifically with ayahuasca. I started my relationship with ayahuasca about 2 years ago when I first came to Colombia. But over the past 4 or 5 months, been really diving deep with it and learning so much that maybe in this conversation, some of that we'll talk about, and it'll come out and I can share some about my experiences with that. And so all of this lifestyle that I have now, working online in South America, traveling the world, diving into meditation and plant medicines and all this sort of stuff. This is all, I say all this to preface who I am right now as you see me, but none of this existed 2 years ago. Absolutely none of it. And so I am on one hell of a journey right now. And I am a great testament of what can happen when we actually start to look within ourselves and ask ourselves a deeper level questions. And I wouldn't have ever gotten to this place had it not been for massive pain in life. And pain is a really sensitive subject. These days, we're often trying to avoid pain at all costs. And when situations present themselves in life, we often turn to try to run away from them in order to avoid those tough, difficult situations. And over these past few years, it's just been one thing after another that has just pushed me deeper and deeper and deeper to within myself to ask the deeper level questions of what do I really want in life? Who do I really want to become? What is my purpose for actually being here during this one lifetime that we get to live? And so that is a little bit about who I am right now. Before I dive into my story about how I got here, and again, this is just where I am now and lifelong journey of growth and learning ahead of me. And I have a lot more to learn, but I've also come a very long way. I'm finally able to accept that within myself. So before I get into the story, does that do a good job of prefacing, what I'm all about? And does that give people enough information on why you reached out to me and why we're having this podcast interview in the first place?
Well, I think you did a really good job so far. No, but I also once anyone has a question about you, what is not going to be explained later on in the podcast or about what we talk about, obviously they can reach out to any of us and in the show notes or anywhere else that we put the links. So any question that has not been resolved during the podcast, we can still resolve later on. And now actually already found the concept that you somehow challenge with pain is not actually a bad thing, even though it's really connected in our brains as something we should immediately stay away from. I know already that we have a similar perception through the Vipassana about it, but where was maybe the first time this concept were challenged for you, and why was that so important?
So before all of this started, literally everything that I've just told you right now about every aspect of who I am, what I'm doing, all the things I'm interested in diving into, how I help people, how I want to help people, all of this stuff. As I said a couple minutes ago, none of this existed. None of this existed a few years ago. All of this is still, for me, it's brand new. And the person that I was 2-3 years ago I would not even be able to recognize that person. You, Julian, us having this conversation, I promise you 2-3 years ago, you just wouldn't have recognized anything about me. And so what happened with me, the whole moment where everything changed in my life. So for me, who I am is I'm just a pretty normal person. I'm a pretty normal dude. Don't have anything too crazy in life happen to me. Everything's pretty, we all go through our own struggles and challenges and obstacles in life, but I don't have any crazy story about being homeless or growing up as an orphan or anything super crazy traumatic like that. What I really did for all of my life was I followed exactly what the playbook was supposed to be for having that good, normal life. I did everything, literally everything that I was supposed to do, everything that my parents, my friends, my family, everything that society was telling me to do. I did it, and I did it so well because we certain people, we have this high achiever mentality, and when we put our minds to something, we get it done in a big way, and we do a really good job at it without sometimes even really thinking too much about, is this really what I want? And is this really what I want to do? If we have something in front of us, we're just like, all right, this is what I got to do. Let's do it right now. And so for me, I did all the normal stuff in life. I went to school and I got really good grades in school so that I could impress my parents and get into a good college. And so I got into the good college. And so when I was in college, well, all right, what do I do now? Okay, let's get good grades in college so that we can get a good job afterwards, because that's what you do. And so I was like, all right, let's hustle. Let's grind this out. Let's really get some good grades. I did all the internships. I did all the jobs. I built my resume and my CV. I built an incredible resume. And so I got a really good job after that. And where I was at, actually, I was super fortunate when I was applying for different jobs. I was super fortunate to have landed just an incredible opportunity, an absolutely incredible opportunity with a big Fortune 500 company in America. It was actually in Las Vegas. I was working for the big casino companies out there. And so the company that I was working for, we had 75,000 employees, and I got into this program that they had, where it was basically a management program that you go around from different departments to learn how this massive company comes together as a whole. And so you got that really good, well-rounded knowledge of how things work in a massive company. And so I was going in, and this is a really exclusive, it was thousands of people apply. They only take in 40 people a year type of thing. And so when I got in there, I was like, all right, let's go. This is my shot right here. This is where I'm at. This is going to be my home. I'm just going to absolutely crush this and climb up the corporate ladders as fast as humanly possible. And so when I got there, I made myself stand out by being really good. I was always the guy that was, boom, opportunity comes up. All right, let's take this. All right, someone doesn't want to do this public speaking thing. Boom, let's do it. I'm kind of scared about public speaking, but whatever. That's no worry. Let's just do it, because I want to stand out. I want to climb the corporate ladder. So I was doing all of this stuff for a couple of years, and it was great. It was going well, and I was really enjoying it. And I was learning a lot, and I was growing, and I was going up the ladder. It was a good lifestyle that I was living, but that was the thing, is that it was a good lifestyle. It wasn't something that I was 10 out of 10 absolutely ecstatic about, but it was good. It was really good. I was fortunate and grateful for that opportunity. And so I would have stayed in that position that I was in, and stayed in that company for many, many years to come. I had my next 5, 10, 15, 20 years planned out ahead of me. And I would have stayed had it not been for this one moment that changed everything in my life. And this one moment came when, so in the specific department that I was working for, we did casino marketing, And that's essentially, we work with the big whales, the guys that are really gambling a lot of money, and we send out promotional offers. And I was doing a lot of data work, a lot of data analytical work to send out the right promotion to the right customer based on how much they gamble, essentially. That's how it works in Vegas. And so I was in this department, and the guy that was directly training me every single day, the guy that was basically the position right above me, his name was Chris. And Chris, he's an awesome dude, awesome guy. And he's just someone that's always trying to make other people happy. And he's a workhorse. He's a hustler, like an absolute hustler. You get in early in the morning, 8 a.m. or something, and he's already there crushing out all of his daily reports every single day. We're working 5-6 days a week, long hours, 10, 12 hours. But that was totally fine because it was good and I was enjoying it. I was learning a lot. And so we start to really build this bond, this connection, and we're working literally side by side with one another. He's like a work brother to me. We're colleagues at work, but when you probably have those experiences when you're at a job of some sort, you really just build that connection with the people that are around you. It's like a work family, right? And that's really how it felt with Chris here, because we were just boom, crushing it every single day. He was a great teacher too. And so Chris, though, he had a little difficulty with handling stress sometimes. The work that we were doing was a lot of like data work, a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of numbers and finances types of stuff. And, sometimes when you make a little mistake here, you're like, oh man, all right, I'll learn from that and fix it. Sometimes he was a little hard on himself with those sort of little mistakes and errors that would come up, and his face would light up red like a tomato, and that type of guy. And so I get, it's Saturday night, one night, and I'm out with my boys in Vegas, doing our thing in Vegas. When you're living there and when you're working there, it's the ultimate work hard, play hard mentality, where you're there crushing work and you're doing a really good job with work. And as soon as you leave, you go straight out, still in your suit, straight out to the nightclubs, just doing your thing. Like, that's the mentality of it all, to paint the picture. And so it's Saturday night. I'm out with my boys at a nightclub or wherever we are. We're just crushing it, just really doing the Vegas thing. And it's midnight. And I look down at my phone, and it's my director, my boss, calling me, and it's midnight. I'm like, oh man. The first thing that comes to mind was, oh man, what report did I screw up?
So badly that he must call you at midnight. Yeah.
Yeah. On a Saturday night, I'm like, oh no, what report did I screw up? And so I'm like, should I answer this right now? Like, I've already had a couple of drinks and everything. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, all right, this is probably something important. All right, let's pick it up. Let's see what's up. And so pick it up, and my boss, he just goes straight into it. He says, Brett, Chris passed away. He's dead. 30 years old of a natural heart attack. No drugs, no excessive drinking, overall healthy guy, worked out, maybe had a little bit of weight that he could have lost. Maybe he drank one too many Red Bulls here and there, but overall healthy guy. So he's 30 years old, and he passed away of a heart attack. At the time, I didn't even know that something like that was even possible. I had never, maybe it was ignorant, or maybe it was just not. I had never heard in my entire life of a 30-year-old having a heart attack. what? I just can't process this. I am just so boom, like can't even process the news, can't even process what happened. So I get into the office on Monday morning, and the mood is definitely somber. After we get in there and everyone's, it was cool to see the community come together and all the other colleagues, hugging one another and consoling one another. That was definitely a really, really powerful moment. And then we go in to talk about how we're essentially going to move forward and how we're going to split up the work. Mm-hmm. And essentially I was going to be taking on more responsibility. And I was like, all right, cool. This is exactly what I need to do, because this is just my chance to shine. This is the climb the ladder right here. And so after doing that for a few weeks, I'm man, to be honest, like the data stuff that I was doing, it was good. I was learning a lot, but I'm not really the analyst type of person. And so I had no idea what I was doing either. I was trying to learn, and I was trying to read these books and trying to do all these things. I just didn't. I could have done a better job at asking better questions, but it was just like overwhelming for me. So I actually started getting heart palpitations of my own. And that's when I was like, what is going on right now? Because the path was laid out in front of me. Chris, the guy that was directly above me, just passed away. And I was like, Julian, to be honest, I was terrified. I was absolutely scared. I was scared. And so I come from this place of, very strict and very rigid life patterns of do exactly what's supposed to be done mm-hmm. in life. And I have never in my life been open-minded to different ways of doing things, like meditation, for example. I was like,
I feel you.
That's weird. That's a weird thing. Only hippies do that. Oh yeah. One love. Cool. I'm going to go back to work, guys. That's where I came from. But at that point, I was so scared and desperate that I was willing to try anything. And so that's what initially led me into meditation.
So the fear of maybe also falling into this trap Chris fall into, like getting this stress built up and more, and that got you then, okay, let's rethink this. So I guess the initial part was actually the fear or like pain of not having the same thing again. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it was the pain as well of losing a brother, losing someone that was really close to me in such a way that was, we've all lost friends. We've all lost friends, whether it's drunk driving, car accident, some crazy event that happens. We all have different events that we can relate to in terms of the loss of the people that we love most. But this one just made no sense. I couldn't make sense of it. 30 years old, dead, heart attack. And so I start trying meditation, and a couple weeks into meditation, my heart rate goes back down to normal. I'm like, okay, this stuff works. So let's keep doing this. And so I kept doing it. And then week by week, month by month, my mind started expanding a little bit in terms of the questions that started coming up. The questions of, wait a minute, what do I really want to do here? Do I really want to stay in this corporate job right now? Do I really want to work for the same company for for a long, long, long time. What actually excites me? What do I actually enjoy in life? What gives me joy in life? What are my passions? All these questions that I've never thought about in my entire life. At that point, I was 26 years old. At that point, I never thought about any of these things.
Just because you gave it a bit of room that the question could arise. So you actually made some time for yourself to think about it. Because as you said before, like if you would not have had this, like, I guess also the punctuation or the incident happened with Chris, you probably wouldn't have given yourself that time to think about it. So I think that might be really interesting also for, if a person is like, as you said, like 40, 50 years old at some point, and then starts to question those things, is like, why is it happening so late? Why haven't I thought of that beforehand? And now, like, this makes sense now, like, because when you don't give yourself the room to think about it, you don't give yourself the time to actually ask questions about the life, ask those why questions, these really important ones, you can just be completely driven away by the search for the goal, for the big good life, without actually being then without considering whether it's your life or somebody else's.
In America, we have like, if you're, I'm not sure if you have it in Europe, but it's called a midlife crisis.
Yeah, where sure. Yeah. We actually use all the English term.
But the middle-aged man goes out and he buys the red Corvette. He buys the red sports car, thinking that, okay, this is hopefully going to make me happy. And of course, that's not the solution. And why do they go and buy that red Corvette? It's because they've reached this point where they, at the middle of their life, where they're looking forward and looking backwards, like, that's when those questions naturally start to arise with time, with age, with life experience. And so that's why I said earlier that pain is often the greatest teacher that we truly have. If we really look at it straight in the face and really try to, all right, this is tough right here. This is really tough, but what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to teach me right here? If we have the courage to ask those sort of questions, that's when we'll get the answers that will really push us forward. Without getting too sidetracked, I was in Taiwan earlier this year for living there for a few months. And one day I decided that, you know what, it'd be pretty cool to just go volunteer at a monastery, at a Buddhist monastery. Like, I don't know what that would be like. I like meditating. Let's just see what that would be like. And so I went and volunteered at this big event that they were having. It was really cool. I was the only Westerner there for sure. And it was definitely funny in terms of that. Everyone was looking at me like, what is he doing here? But whatever, he wants to work, so we'll put him to work. And I was talking to this one monk, this one nun, female monk. And I was talking to this nun, and she was just basically asking, like, Brett, how did you get here? Like, you're traveling the world, you're working online, you're into meditation. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you doing all this stuff? And so I explained that short. I gave her that story, and I told her, like, look, this was the one thing that changed everything in my life, because I was getting those little feathers of, hey, Brett. Hey, are you going to listen? I could feel that life was trying to give me some help, but I was just like, nope. So that's what sometimes has to happen if we're not listening to the signs. And so I was telling the story to this nun, and after telling the story of how I got to where I am now, she looks at me straight in the face, zero hesitation, says, Brett, Chris, was your greatest teacher? Yeah. Wow.
She was right.
Yeah.
But then also,
so,
like, as you also said, like, it happens quite often that somebody in our surroundings surprisingly dies, but not all of the people in their surrounding get this turning point, get this snap. Oh wait, something is going wrong here. I need to wake up. I need to change something. This is going to teach me something. And why did it do something for you? Why is it not? I mean, other people also worked with him. He was not your only teacher, but I just assume that didn't make click for all of them. And what might be the difference there?
Mm-hmm. That's seriously a phenomenal question. That is a great question right there.
Have you thought about that?
If I actually have not ever thought about that, but what I'm going to say feels like exactly what happened was that I was just at a point where me in my life and in my experience in my story through my 26 years in life, I was always building towards some sort of direction, not knowing what that direction would be and ignoring the signs. Like I said, I was getting these gentle little feathers of, hey, you should maybe go in this direction. You should do these things. And then it was the signs were getting obvious, like, hey, you should go in that direction. So we learn sometimes in life by feathers, bricks, and trucks. And so for me, I ignored the feathers. I ignored even the bricks. So I got hit by a truck. And so at that point in my life and in my journey, my personal journey, I was at the point where I was ready to listen. And that's why when I said earlier about what led me into meditation was I finally, for the first time in my life, put my ego aside and said, look, I don't have the answers. I don't know what's going on. I need help. And that meditation was what helped me. And so I started diving into meditation. And then, like I said, I kept doing it. And then the questions started. And then the teachers started appearing in the strangest, craziest of ways.
I can relate.
I've already told plenty of stories so far, but teachers that when you look back on them, you are in awe at the perfection of how things worked out. Because when I was in my Vegas days, doing my thing, bottle service at the clubs, like with my friends, if a monk, if a shaman, if someone like that were to walk into my hotel, in my casino, say, Brett, I want to teach you here. Like, hey, get a load of this guy right here. He thinks he's all enlightened and shit. Look at this guy. Because that's just not where I was at. And so my teacher, my first ever teacher about this sort of stuff came because life threw me someone to meet me exactly where I was at. It was in the form of one of my bartenders from Caesar's Palace. I'm this drunk, this drunk dude that's always showing up to the same bar every single night. And this guy, we just get to talk, and I tell him about my story and what's going on, all the stress and the fears and the anxieties that I'm having in life. And this guy, he doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs. He looks at me and says, Brett, if you're ready, I want to introduce you to some stuff. And I'm like, what? but I built a connection with this guy, and I liked him, and we've been friends for a while. And so I was like, all right, let's see what this guy's all about. This was after I did meditation. It was like, I want to show you a specific meditation technique that I do. And so went to his house, and normally in the past I never would have done that. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. But I was like, yeah, let's just see what happens. Why not? Get to his house. This guy, bartender, he's got 7 adopted children at his house. He's adopted 7 children, and he's the greatest father that you will ever see to them. And so we go into his garage, and instead of like cars in there, it is fully decked out in every single meditation, spirituality, Eastern culture stuff, that it's fully decked out. All the sound bowls and everything. He's got everything. So that's when we start going deeper into meditation. He shows me how to get deeper with my meditations. And we form a relationship more from a surface level of, yo, give me another shot, to him actually showing me a new path. And that's why I say that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and it's not going to be in the form that we think it's going to be in. It's going to be right around us, because we're not ready to receive those sort of teachers, those sort of lessons in life. If we're just right here, if we're so trapped in where we're at in our life, and the answer could be right here. But if we're like this, we're just not going to see it. So that was the first person that really started getting me deeper. And so that's what happened when I started meditating. I started meeting all these people, and then I started meeting all these business people, and then I started meeting all these entrepreneurs and all these people that were working online and traveling the world. And I was like, I want that. That is what I want. My biggest passion is travel. I want to get out and see this beautiful, beautiful world that we're living in right now. And take a look at this here in Medellin. Like, it's just, this beautiful. Is the view. Yeah, the view from my bedroom. I wake up to this every single morning. Oh, and nice. That's all that I wanted. That's all that I wanted at the time. I just wanted to get out and see the world and figure out a way to do that. And so all these other business teachers started emerging. All these mentors that all started emerging. One thing led to another. I started just taking massive action at night and on the weekends. And one thing led to another. I started doing well, and started doing really well. And I quit my job, and I started this journey that led me to where we're currently at now. And over the past 2 years, that was about 2.5 years ago. It's not been all rainbows and butterflies. Anything with entrepreneurship, as you know, or business in general, or even freelance and working for yourself, it's not going to be rainbows and butterflies. But again, it's those moments that present the most obstacles where you're like, man, I am so broke right now, or man, nothing that I'm doing is working, or man, how did I create that success in the past? I can't imagine creating that success because I'm just so back into a fixed mindset right now, because I'm in this place of lower level emotion. So it's been all ups and downs, and it's the downs that keep going and pushing me further and further and further within myself. And so all of that led me into all the ups and downs with business. That was just another thing that led me deeper into all this other stuff. And yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at now. That's how I got to where I'm at. It's that pain, and it's that real ambition to learn more about myself and to go deeper. And so I did that 10-day silent meditation that we talked about at the beginning of the year. Now that I'm back here in Colombia, diving deep with ayahuasca, like what I mentioned. And it's over the past 4 or 5 months, I've been diving very deep with it, and a lot of ceremonies. And it's amazing and beautiful how things just start working themselves out all around you. The family stuff starts working itself out. The business stuff starts working itself out. The relationships stuff starts working itself out. Your emotional well-being, you feel better, you feel happier every time that you go deeper within yourself. So yeah, man, in a nutshell, big nutshell, that's who I am now. That's where I came from. And we've got a beautiful, amazing path ahead.
That sounds, in the first place, super awesome, and like awesome that it worked out for you. Awesome that you had so much luck. Awesome that you had such a nice path already laid out for you. But for like, just speaking of another person, like if they're skeptic, like, okay, but for me, this is not true. Like for me, this is not the way it's going. I mean, I've this going on, this doesn't work out for me. My job doesn't work. My girlfriend doesn't like me. I don't know, stuff like that happening. And so, I obviously was in the place as well. It's like, okay, how, like some people were just lucky and they have found those mentors, and the mentors suddenly liked them, and nobody likes me as being, their or as being the mentor for me. What might be a thing that you would say to that? Because at least in my path, I could now really relate to that, since for me this started happening, for about a year, a bit more than a year ago, where like those connections were suddenly built. Suddenly some people from outside came into my life. It's like, oh, I want to be your mentor. It's like, wait, what? What's happening? I don't understand. Like, and where's this?
Think back to those moments when that did happen to you. Think back to when those mentors did start appearing to you. What preceded those specific events right before that mentor showed up by luck, as you say, to you? What preceded those sort of moments?
I obviously still know it really, really well. It's like that I set myself towards the path I really wanted to go. Like about a year ago, I had a talk with a friend of mine in Hong Kong where it was like, yeah, okay, like I have no clue where I want to go in life. Like what is my direction I want to go? What am I going to do after my bachelor's in psychology? I have no clue. And pretty similar to what you said, like I suddenly in Hong Kong had the time to think about it. A year before I was super into the entrepreneurial world, working super hard next to my bachelor degree, and didn't have the time to think about those things. And then I was like super into nihilistic perspectives at some point, then existentialism, then went over to things I cannot do, things I shouldn't do. And then at some point I was like, yeah, okay, where do I actually want to go? And that was then the point where at some point I was ready to talk about that with a friend. And she was then like, yeah, what am I, or like, I asked her, like, what am I good at? What do you think I could be doing afterwards? And she was like, yeah, just do the thing you do all the time with everybody around you. And like, what am I doing? You were helping them to like get up their motivations, get them started to do something. You see, even though you think you're not like well structured, but you seem to have everything in place already. But I just didn't see that. And so once I got this notion from the friend, like, oh yeah, maybe this actually works already. And that's actually good as well. I like that too. I like the complete mind shift and like, oh yeah, I have things I do like. I have things I really enjoy doing. Let's go after them. And that was like a week or 2 weeks after this conversation, I talked to a friend of mine still in Germany. And he was like, oh yeah, that's totally you. Like I definitely would put you onto this path. And actually, I know a person who is exactly doing that, and how luck it wanted to be. He, like a week later, he was randomly sitting next to her in a bus, and it's like, what the fuck? Well, obviously, I got connected to her, and that now that she's also obviously a mentor of mine. And then in Taiwan was another thing happening like that. When I was visiting a friend, and his dad sent him to a friend of him and said, like, yeah, he doesn't really know what exactly to do. And so he was in HR and like manager for that. It's like, oh, yeah, might be interesting for him to go there. And when he came back, it was like, you would be the right person to talk with him. It's like, okay, I can do that. And this was just an awesome, I think, 6-hour conversation with this dude of how we talked in the previous thing about like how energy is flowing with, in terms of money, about the talent, what you're good at seeking, seeking for the things you really enjoy, that because that creates bigger energy in yourself, and start to create this imprint in your brain even deeper than your thoughts, to actually go and actually embrace the things you really want to have in your life. And I seriously now can go on with those stories because they don't end anymore. It starts happening more and more the more I start to go into one direction. And this is incredible. So to be honest, that is the thing that I for myself see as so important, to really ask those questions, as you also did. Think about the things, even though obviously in the beginning I had no clue, like, okay, where am I at? What do I want to do? But continue ask those questions. 2 weeks after that, they arise again. It's like, maybe you have a different perspective on it. Just try to figure it out, like, along the way. Obviously, it's still going to change for me and for you as well. Like, there's no final end of this. But it's just awesome to see now back the year ago. It's like, how did this happen? I mean, now the question is redundant, but you know how it did. But it's still awesome to see how it fall into place, how you described before.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Not even one. The greatest little quote from one of my greatest mentors is that, oh, looks like it's breaking up a little bit right there. Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you still, but can't see. Yeah, now it works again. Continue.
Okay, cool. One of my favorite things that one of my mentors told me is that fortune favors the bold. As soon as we take that step in that direction, as soon as we have the courage to say, okay, let's go this way and let's follow this way. I don't know where the hell this is going. I don't know how the hell this is going to work out, but let's go this way. As soon as we have the courage to take that action towards what we desire, it's crazy how life starts rewarding us. Fortune favors the bold.
Especially because I think you focus then into your strengths, because that is where you can excel then the most in whatever you call like an achievement. That is where you get the fastest to it when you are in your strength, when you are in your element. That's when you really enjoy the process, enjoy the things happening to you. And, that's when you start, enjoying. And that's, I feel the almost the most important part, that even though you have those ups and downs, and even on the lowest down, you're like, I know it's going to be great afterwards. This is just so helpful to see and have when, especially in those down phases.
So for anyone, like what the question was about, for anyone that's listening that might be, as you said, skeptical or just unsure if they can actually do that for themselves, because that's my story, that's my journey, that's my experience through life. But for anyone that doesn't think that they can also do that, as you just described right there with your own life experience, and if we ask any other person, you go outside and walk down the street, and we all have moments in life where there's at least one thing that we can look back on and say, you know what, that was a really good thing that happened to me. Right before those things happen, what comes right before that every single time? And so it's about taking that next step forward. That like, sometimes we have no idea. When I was in my corporate job, I had no idea at all.
Brad, are you still on? Brad? Hello?
Massive whiteboard.
And sorry, Brad.
And I put duct taped my passport on top.
Can you hear?
And I
Brad.
Yep.
You went off for like 20 seconds.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I bought this giant whiteboard and for the longest time, I didn't have anything written on it. And then one time a question arose during meditation of how to create a lifestyle around travel. And I duct taped my passport onto this whiteboard. And for about a month, 2 months, that was all that I had written. I had nothing. I was like, well, I know that's what I want, but I couldn't tell you how to do it. One thing led to another, and I started just like, you know what? This is actually what I want. I'm so certain that this is what I want to do. Don't know how, but I'm so certain this is what I want. It's like, you know what? Maybe I started researching how to actually do this. I've seen people travel the world, work online, build businesses. All right, let's see how they do it. That's how I started getting connected to the people that have helped me along the ways. That's how I got connected to business mentors so that they could shortcut the gap for me. It's those little baby steps. Like we know deep down what that next 1% step in the direction is. So once we do, it's fortune favors the bold. When we make that decision to ourselves, the weirdest things start happening, and it still goes on for me to this day. 3 days ago, I made a big, ambitious goal for myself, and I started down that path. And then, boom, the next day, oh, there's a really good opportunity for you. I was like, it literally fell from the sky. And so it's those sort of things when we make those decisions to go in that way. That's what I would recommend is to really dig deep, figure out what it is that we really, 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 really want to do. What is that actually perfect dream scenario, that dream lifestyle that we want? And once we have that clear, all right, what's the next one step? Not the end goal. Making all this money. I'm traveling the world, I'm building these businesses. Not that. What's that next step? And then just start following those cookie crumbs and having courage throughout the journey. When the things start hitting the fan and when shit gets hard, sticking to it, staying committed, because with anything in the business world, like everything's going to go wrong. everything's going to go wrong. And that's when people give up. And if we can just have the courage to find that strength to say, oh my God, this is so bad right now. This is so bad. I should just go back, get a normal job, have a normal life. No, let's just keep going one step further. If you have the courage to do that, things start opening up.
We are already at more than the 45 minutes. If you said like you have about an hour, so you want to continue or you want to?
Maybe any questions that you want to ask for the next 5 minutes or so, and then we can wrap this up. Any really big, heavy hitting question? Your questions are really good, to be honest.
Well,
But yeah, I'm good for like another 5 minutes.
Yeah. So just 5 minutes. When you start talking, it's like at least half an hour is gone. So no, that's well, what I thought of. I think after we went over like so many topics that's going in the direction of like really the importance in life and where you need to focus on to really get the things you really dream of, the things somewhat falling into place, focus on your strength. So really applicable to most people's lives. How about a question that is, what would be your most favorite superpower?
The ability to create joy in people's lives. Maybe it sounds cliche, maybe it doesn't, but joy is it's our reason for being here. This life isn't supposed to be hard, struggle, challenging, difficult. Like, but I always thought that life had to be like we can take a step back and realize that it's those little moments where we say hi to that stranger. We go to that same coffee shop that we always go to. We say, how's your day going? Something where they don't really get asked those questions too often. You spark up a little conversation with them, and you left them better than when you met them that day. It's the ability to create joy. It's our birthright, and it's the one thing that we need more of in this world.
That is a beautiful ending. That sounds really nice. And just like the last one is basically, after we had now this really long and deep conversation also as last week already, what would be like another person you would suggest to get on the Ambitious Love podcast to spread the message we talked about even further with different stories or different perspective? Who do you think would fit to that?
I like it. I like it. That's a good question to keep building up the podcast. Great. I've got a couple people in mind that I can reach out to them and see if they'd be interested in doing something like this. People that have similar sort of stories and backgrounds of just facing the fears, doing the tough things, learning from the hard mistakes, and the results are that they're creating their own realities and creating their own lifestyles. I've got a couple people that come to mind that I can connect to.
Awesome. That's really, thank you. And even like when just talking about that, you put a really nice golden nugget in there as well. Like people are creating their own reality. Since there is non-real reality in our minds. I find it really nice to talk to you. Thanks a lot, Brad.
we can often choose to follow the facts of the matter, the things that we see out here in the external world, or we can choose to follow the truth of what we know, the truth of who we are. So different right there that I'll leave you off on to consider.
Thanks a lot, and thank you so much for taking your time to do this. Awesome.
Yeah, no, this was fun. Glad we got together on this.
Indeed. Thank you for listening this far, and I'm sure I didn't promise too much with him being a great storyteller. So if you now want to connect with him, he's reachable at Brent Gonzenbach on Instagram. So if you want to know more about his story, about what he's doing at the moment, you can reach him there. One last thing, if you enjoyed this episode or got a new perspective on something, I would really appreciate if you subscribe or leave me a review on iTunes, so I know what I'm doing and I can improve it. And I also see a bit of support from you to keep going. That would be awesome. So have a nice day, and Namaste.